Winnipeg, you can win groceries for a year of a kickoff return for a touchdown in this game, thanks to Safeway Sobeys' $1 million touchdown to win promotion. And if it happens a second time, you can also win $1 million. Good luck, Brenda. Off to BMO, Rod Black and Dwayne Ford, guys.
Sunshine Saturday in the 6th, Rod Smith. Hello, Canada, and welcome, Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Toronto Argonauts. First game of a home and home. Two teams coming off home and homes, Edmonton and BC respectively. It is family day here today. Chance to meet SpongeBob. All the kids of all ages coming into BMO Field today, and one of the featured performers is this guy.
Yeah, you'll see a great battle between two of the CFL's top running backs, both major award winners last season. Andrew Harris is currently the CFL's leading rusher and the reigning most outstanding Canadian, off to a great start here in 2018. James Wilder Jr., last year's most outstanding rookie in the Canadian Football League, currently entered this week 7th in the league rushing stats, but does have a 100-yard game under his belt already.
And today's game featuring the ref cam on head referee Tom Valese. We'll get some good angles. This is what Tom's peering out at. That's the north end of BMO Field. This natural grass surface today. And the Blue Bombers, with a couple of changes in their lineup, will receive here and get their first return of the ball game. And Matt Nichols will bring his offense out on the field. They'll start near the 30-yard line. Nichols' third start of the season, did not start for the season for the Bombers, but a team that fell victim to a big comeback in Vancouver last week.
Yeah, things went their way in the first half, but essentially the second half of the game, everything that could go wrong did go wrong as they let that one slip away. Matt Nichols believes, though, that can be something of a turning point for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Nichols throwing, knocked down by Sean Lemon. Lemonator makes his presence felt early here.
We'll take a moment to take a look at this Winnipeg offense. Good receiving core, including Winnipeg native Nick Dembski, who's on his way to a career season, the number 6 overall pick back in 2015. And Stanley Bryant, former top O-lineman in the league, leads an offensive line that quarterback Matt Nichols believes is the CFL's best.
Second down, and finding Darius Bowman targeted there, but Bowman can't hang on. And Darius Bowman off to a slow start back with the Blue Bombers for the second time in his career.
Yeah, Bowman comes into today's action with just 9 catches on the season thus far. Guy who's expected to be a big off-season addition.
Justin Medlock with the wind blowing off the lake shore here this afternoon. Right into the breeze. Keeps it nice and low. Martise Jackson back to return on the hop. Jackson, little high step, and the ball's loose, and it looks like Winnipeg has it. And the first time the Argos touch the football, they cough it up, and the Blue Bombers, Mike O'Shea, look like they have the football. No signal yet. But it appeared from here that Winnipeg indeed had that ball. Or did they? It is Blue Bomber football. And it's Ian Wild, one of the special teams demons, able to pounce on that football.
Yeah, Wild previously a starter, a middle linebacker and weak side linebacker for the Bombers, but as they've added some depth, he finds himself in a designated international role, playing in certain packages and contributing as he does here on special teams.
So the Bombers scrimmage again. First and 10 from the Argo 35, and Andrew Harris with his first carry of the afternoon. Significant one, 12-yarder. Will move the sticks close to that red zone. Martise Jackson being consoled on the sideline.
You get a look at the work of that offensive line. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Great lead block by Pat Neufeld, left guard, pulling through there.
First and 10 now from the 22. Nichols, play action, goes to the end zone. Wide open is Darvin Adams for the touchdown. Souvenir for a Bomber fan in Toronto. Enjoying that end zone, and they get a close-up of Darvin Adams, who opens scoring here, and they put 6 on the board after that turnover.
He's going to save those points coming off the turnover, make them that much more painful. Better look down the pipe here off play action. You see the added time that Matt Nichols gets in protection as the defense has to honor that fake to Andrew Harris, the least-off rusher. Darvin Adams, former Toronto Argonaut, gets in behind coverage for the touchdown. Darvin Adams, that is his 3rd touchdown reception of the season.
So Justin Medlock, 32-yard point after to give Winnipeg a 7-0 lead. The former Argo boots it through. And Darvin Adams has Winnipeg striking first. Nichols to Adams. Matt Nichols' 2nd touchdown pass of the season. Looking good for the blue and gold early on. Native of Canton, Mississippi. Former Auburn Tiger Darvin Adams. 1,000-yard receiver, in fact. 1,100 yards plus last year for the Blue Bombers. Many of those from Matt Nichols. Nichols makes the Argos pay. The Argos, by the way, give up more points off turnovers than any other team in the league early in the season. And the Bombers, 2nd on points off turnovers, and now again another bad bounce. And so Toronto will finally bring their offense out on the field. Brandon Burke's the return.
Well, I want to take a look back at the touchdown. You're going to see safeties in the middle of the field here, but keep an eye on what Matt Nichols does. Right here, he first comes out to his right. He's looking this way. So as a free safety, now you're going to start to drift in that direction, which means when Darvin Adams breaks it back this way to the corner, there's not going to be any help over the top for the halfback. Perfect shot from Nichols. Good concentration on the football for Adams. And you've got a Blue Bomber lead.
James Franklin's first pass is errant, looking for S.J. Green on the far sideline. James Franklin's numbers so far this season, again coming in, now the starter. Ricky Ray on the shelf. Argos coming off 50-50, home and home with the Edmonton Eskimos. Levi Noel had a big game against the Eskimos here a couple of weeks ago. A little subpar for him last week. In fact, for the entire offense, it was a defensive game, but a 2-and-out now for the Argos.
And you'll see Levi Noel, terrific special teams cover guy, remaining on the field with that punt unit.
Here's Kevin Fogg back. Dangerous returner. Stops and cuts back, and he's dropped. Justin Tuggle on the special teams tackle. So Matt Nichols with his 3rd series already for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 2-3 start on the season. Matt began the season on the injured list, but he's back in the pocket for the Bombers and already has put 7 on the board here in Toronto this afternoon. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. Sun over top of BMO Field in Toronto. Late Saturday afternoon affair, Week 6 continuing in the Canadian Football League. The teams coming off losses last week, trying to get back in the win column. Andrew Harris stopped first by Marcus Ball and then brought down after a minimal gain. Harris, the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League.
Taking a look at this Toronto Argonaut defense, you've got Ken Bishop getting the start at defensive tackle in place of the suspended Dylan Wynn. That, of course, after the hit on C.J. Gable last week. Tremaine Washington is in at the nickel linebacker spot. We'll see how he fares. First-year CFL are playing that on that hot seat. Watch for T.J. Heath, normally a halfback. He's lined up out of the corner today.
Nick Dembski fights for yardage after the catch and will get a first down right at the midfield stripe. Winnipeg native, former Manitoba Bison, former Saskatchewan Rough Rider with his 19th catch of the young season.
Yeah, as I mentioned off the top, a first-round pick for Saskatchewan. They kind of stole him out from under the Blue Bombers, who had their eye on him in that 2015 draft. Made his way home as a free agent this offseason. He's a great fit in Paul LaPolice's offense.
Crossing pattern and a great cut by Darvin Adams. Puts his head down, and Darvin Adams already the spark plug for the Blue Bombers offense early today. A touchdown and a 23-yard pickup, and most of those yards coming after the catch. Look at this ankle breaker here.
Yeah, they're bringing the safety blitz. Matthias goes in the center, does a terrific job picking that up. Nichols getting the ball out to his go-to guy, Darvin Adams.
First and 10 from the 32. They run direct snap to Harris. Play that looked like it was going to go astray, but they do get about half the first down yardage. It worked out for the Bombers. It could have been a disaster.
Now we'll have the close-up look at this one as they're trying to get a little misdirection. Matt Nichols creating the distraction before they go direct snap. Andrew Harris using his wheels to make something out of nothing here. Getting outside. Saw T.J. Heath's eyes lit up when he saw that loose ball, and he kind of overran it. Lost contain. That allowed Harris to turn it into a positive play.
Andrew Harris, two-time most outstanding Canadian, won in a Grey Cup game. Last year, the best Canadian in the CFL. Always after that elusive 1K, which has not been done. Receiving and rushing, well on his way in the rushing department.
They might have that by mid-season. Maybe then he'll just catch passes in the back half of the year.
I have a feeling that someone, someday, soon will do that. The way they've been employing backs, especially Harris, keeps it on the turf. Dustin Tuggle playing in that middle linebacker spot. Rips him down.
Yeah, you getting an idea of the versatility of some personnel in that Toronto defense as they're moving people around. There you see the numbers for Andrew Harris. First 3 games this season versus the way he has cranked it up over the last couple of Blue Bomber outings.
Close to the red zone. Bombers have the best percentage in the red zone in the CFL. Crossing pattern. And just on cue with a flag down, Harris snares a pass. Flags on the far side of the field near the 20. Bombers signaling it's against
Offside.
Toronto.
Toronto number 29. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Abdul Kana. By the way, it is Kana. For a long time, it's been called Kene.
Yeah, he said he's been getting Kene since high school, so he's just rolled with it.
I think he would have said something to somebody.
But I think at this point in a pretty good career, he's earned the right to have his name pronounced properly.
Well, he's almost at the point where he just go by his first name. Second and 3. Harris with some room here, bashes forward near the 10-yard line, and he has another first down. They'll reset it again. Talked about those red zone numbers. Bombers operate at a high percentage. Second down conversion, number 1. 58% in the red zone. Argos, though, second last in preventing teams in the red zone. That red zone, that area between the goal line and the 20-yard line. Argos look to be offside, no flag, and they go over the top. Adams again down near the 1. They may even be able to reset there and go first and goal.
Well, they're looking to go no huddle here.
And it is first and goal. Nichols will hand. Andrew Harris will score. There is a flag down. There was a lot of movement there and some confusion before that play was whistled in.
Offside on the defensive line. That penalty be declined. We have a touchdown.
So it is a touchdown for Winnipeg, and the Bombers are romping early here. Stanley Bryant and those men up front opening some big holes for Andrew Harris. Harris has his 6th touchdown of the season, his 5th rushing touchdown, and he could have walked in.
Yeah, and very comfortably that time. We'll kick out by the tackle, Stanley Bryant at the point of attack. And you know, we've talked for years about the creativity and the play calling of Paul LaPolice during his time as an OC in this league. You got a little bit of a flavor of it over the course of that drive. Setting the table with Nick Dembski in the backfield to go play action instead of Andrew Harris, and then going no huddle, not allowing the defense any opportunity to get set for that short yardage play.
Justin Medlock, 20 for 20 now on the season on point afters. Getting a lot of them. The Bombers are scoring at will here, making it look easy. Harris to the house, 14-zip Winnipeg. Bombers make it look easy on that drive. Andrew Harris punches it in, and he was utilized a lot in that drive.
The league's reigning most outstanding Canadian and maybe an early candidate for most outstanding player thus far in 2018. The centerpiece of the Bombers' latest scoring drive.
Harris right, Harris left, Harris up the middle, Harris touchdown. 14-0, and the Bombers, I'm sure on that sideline, Mike O'Shea saying, hey guys, we were up 17-0 a week ago in BC. And it's an early 14-0 lead, and the Argos have provided very little resistance here. Martese Jackson lets this bounce. Will it bounce all the way through? No, it will take a hop into the end zone. So a single point. The Rouge gives Winnipeg a 15-0 lead. So James Franklin, a lot of work to do here, 40.
Yeah, a long way back, but you don't want to see the Argos this early in a ball game abandon the run game, knowing that James Wilder Jr. is one of their best offensive weapons. Got plenty of time to get it back. You don't necessarily need to try to force the big play here in the first quarter.
Argo team that has not scored a lot of points per game so far. There's Franklin over the top, and it's caught. And it's into Winnipeg territory for the first down of the game for the Argos.
Now you get your first look at the newcomer, Rodney Smith. Former Florida State star, spent some time in the National Football League. 6'6", 220-pound receiver. Adding another big target to that receiving corps.
Spent time in the NFL with Minnesota, Cleveland, Dallas, and Seattle. Miami native Franklin playing action out of the backfield. For another first down is Armani Edwards, former college quarterback.
We mentioned in that receiving corps today, newcomer Rodney Smith making his Canadian Football League debut, having just joined the Argonauts along the offensive line. Early happy birthday, happy 30th coming up in 3 days to Tyler Holmes, left guard in his 6th year.
Argos looking to answer here, have been impressive so far. Franklin, and a nice catch made near the 25. Coming back to the football once again is Edwards.
A good response on this drive. Engineered by James Franklin, spreading the ball around. They've gone play action a couple of times. Armani Edwards doing a nice job getting his depth, ensuring he's got that first down yardage, and then coming back to the football.
1st and 10. James Franklin will change the play here from the 26 with James Wilder in the backfield. No touches until now. Wilder. And he is greeted by a blue and gold gang on that corner. And quickly snuffing out any play by James Wilder.
The guys in that Blue Bomber secondary did a terrific job getting off their blocks, because initially this play looked like it had a chance to go the distance. Everybody seemed to be covered up, blocked up by those dark blue jerseys. Again, the guys particularly in the secondary, led by Brandon Alexander, fought through those blocks to limit the gain.
Franklin now on 2nd down, and having to reach back and snare that was Rodney Smith, but he's going to be short. And Mark Tressman on 3rd down here will bring out Ronnie Peffer and put some points on the board. Funny, the wind is kind of swirling here down in this bowl. Oh, it looks like Peffer is booting into the breeze, but it's only a chip shot, 27-yarder. 3 of 5 on the season and make it 3 of 6. He misses it, hooks it left.
And those are points that Toronto Argonauts needed, just in terms of a response to a couple of pretty good drives put together by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They moved the ball down the field. They got to come away with something.
Laurier kicker just 500 now on field goals in the early season. Andrew Harris has been money ever since he came back to Winnipeg, his hometown, and has been with the Bombers already. A touchdown today. It's 15-1. Andrew Harris touchdown already today. His head coach, who played with, played against, and has seen so many great running backs in his time in the CFL, says Harris is among the elite.
He's a dynamic player. He approaches every play that he's out there with the offense as an important play, whether he's running the ball, running a route, or blocking. So I think that's one of the things that makes him such a special back is it's all important to him, and he loves that the rest of his team's having success too.
And Andrew Harris, has really broke into the league, I would say, based on talent, but has excelled in this league as his work ethic, I think, has grown with every successive year.
He's put the time in. Input has equaled output. Maybe even exceeded it as Nick Dembski gets the touch this time, and they utilize 2 true Winnipeg backs in the backfield.
And I'll tell you, Nick Dembski, he is a guy who was recruited to the University of Manitoba as a running back, such a good athlete. It was fantastic as a kick returner, but they had to find a way to get him on the field on offense, because Anthony Coombs, who's now, of course, with the Argos, he's on the injured list, was ahead of him at running back at the U of M. That's how Dembski ended up becoming a receiver, developed into a very good one.
And Weston Dressler on the end around with a cutback, and the veteran has his helmet ripped off by Eric Stryker.
But, you look at Dembski carrying the ball, Dressler carrying the ball, and this is what I think the Bombers have done exceptionally well. And again, credit to Paul LaPolice and his play design and play calling is, they can attack you from pretty well anywhere in the run game at different angles, different gaps. You literally have to defend sideline to sideline. You don't know who's going to end up carrying that football, and it creates openings between the tackles for Andrew Harris.
Dressler again on the hit screen on the far side. Tremaine Washington dragging him down. Matt Nichols going to work again. Mixing and matching, and look at all the numbers that the Bombers have put up already, and credit this offense, credit Paul LaPolice, their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and you can see it all begins with that ground game. They haven't necessarily lit it up in the air. You remember they were playing with a rookie quarterback in Chris Strevler for the first few weeks of the season. Strevler himself obviously contributed to those numbers on the ground. But, so much of it having to do with that creativity in the offensive scheme.
And what you do on first down, another bomb for Adams, who would have needed to go flying to catch that. So third down, they'll bring out the kick. Here, Justin Medlock will try to angle a punt.
Yeah, it looked like maybe for a split second, Adams might have had a shot at this, that he might have misjudged just for a split second where he flattened off for a step or two. And that ball ended up just overthrown.
A minute to go in this opening quarter, dominated by the Invaders from Winnipeg. And out of bounds at the 14-yard line by Medlock. Wanted it a little deeper. 14-point Bomber lead.
Make your getaway with intelligent all-wheel drive in the 2018 Nissan Qashqai.
It's a unique schedule right now for both of these teams. Back-to-back, back-to-back. Don't see that very often. Argos with Edmonton, a home and home. Now home and home with Winnipeg. Bombers home and home with BC. And both of these teams split those home and homes. By the way, that's not an anomaly. There's a higher percentage that the teams are going to split than one team is going to sweep. And I think that has a lot to do with the obvious adjustments that are made.
Yeah, the ongoing chess match. One team may have an edge one week, but the other team typically may have kept a few things up their sleeve. Yeah, the Argos have 4 home and homes or back-to-backs with teams through the course of this season.
2nd and 6 for Franklin. Gathers, throws, and trying to lunge for it. S.J. Green, and another 2 and out. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers could get good field position. One play to come here, barring penalty in this first quarter.
And you see S.J. Green was slow to get up after this one, and then taking a knee when he got to the Argos sideline. So we'll certainly keep an eye on that. Guy critical to the Argos passing game.
Into that swirling wind. Now fog cutting back and swarmed. It's still a nice starting point. When the Bombers come back to start the second quarter, they will trade ends here. Winnipeg will begin in Toronto territory as they head south towards the lakeshore. Darvin Adams a touchdown, Andrew Harris a touchdown. The difference so far is the blue and gold dominate the first 15 minutes on a little Saturday football on Family Day. In Vancouver, a great start for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Can they hold the lead? That will be the question, I'm sure, resonating throughout the province of Manitoba and all the Bomber fans right now after they blew it last week. And the Argos off to a very slow start here today. Did drive it into Winnipeg territory, but only came up with the Rouge.
Yeah, and as we talked about at the time, that was obviously a situation for the Toronto Argonauts. They needed to come away with points. You had Winnipeg with all the momentum through the first quarter of that football game, and they had a chance to kind of negate it with a real bounce-back drive. They marched it down the field beautifully, you know, forced into a third down kicking situation and find themselves settling for just 1 point.
Maybe you can touch more on that backfield. Nick Dembski, who can be used as a hybrid slot / running back, tailback, and how effective it has become and can become as the season progresses for Winnipeg as they go to the ground once again. It certainly provides not only a different look, but a lot of different looks.
Yeah, well, the thing that stands out to me about it and where they have benefited from Nick Dembski's skill set in this offense is, if you remember the back half of last year, teams started to really key on Andrew Harris in the running game. The Bombers altered their roster to dress Timothy Flanders, an American running back, so they could get 2 running backs on the field at times and kind of divert teams' attention, I suppose, a little bit and spread the wealth in that running game. Flanders starts the season on the injured list, but instead of losing all those packages, you're able to use Dembski in a running back role sometimes and keep those plays in your playbook.
Andrew Harris adds to that receiving total we talked about. Again, no player has ever recorded a 1,000-yard season rushing and a 1,000-yard season receiving simultaneously. Harris has come close. but needs to do a little bit more of this. He'll tell you, though, not even concerned with the 1K, though it would be nice. He's looking for something a little gray. Bomber team made it to the playoffs last year, and on the roll is Nichols. Sideline toss and beautiful catch by Weston Dressler. It gets redundant after a while with him. Whenever that ball is near Weston Dressler, he usually wins the battle.
Not the biggest catch radius as one of the smallest receivers in the Canadian Football League, but he gets it done. And again, it's coming off of play action with many different run threats. They showed a shovel to Dembski going to the opposite side. Nichols bootlegs off of that. You can see it gives him plenty of time to throw the football. Delivered a strike to Weston Dressler.
Bombers have been good in the red zone, seeking end zone. Adams, another cutback, and smashes his way down inside the 5-yard line, where the Bombers will now re-scrimmage 1st and goal. Darvin Adams has been a weapon so far here today.
Well, Darvin Adams had Jamarcus Hardrick, the one-man convoy, getting out in front of him on that hitch screen.
Easy touchdown. Andrew Harris has 2 on the day. And once again, like his first touchdown, though he carried the mail, he goes in untouched. Great play calling all the way down the field, and the Bombers shredding the Argos on this drive.
On back-to-back plays here. This is the previous play. I want you to see the hitch screen. Watch the big right tackle, Jamarcus Hardrick, get out in front of things here. It can be tough for old linemen out in space blocking those smaller, quicker guys, but he latches onto his former teammate TJ Heath and just smothers him. And that sets the table. Nichols to Harris for 33's second major of the day.
Matt Nichols getting a lot of protection on that drive, using his arm, but also, again, another drive aided by Andrew Harris. We talked about it, not just a most outstanding Canadian candidate, but like at times last year, most outstanding player candidate. Hits to the bike as he could walk in for his 2nd score of the day. The Bombers open up a 21-point lead in Toronto. Well, the Bombers have some fans who've traveled well here. Fans of this guy, Andrew Harris. How can you not be? Do it all. In the air, on the ground. Has really done it all so far this afternoon. He, Darvin Adams, and Matt Nichols putting on a show.
18 minutes in, and he's already had a big day.
Lots of time, though. The Argos theme this season, pull together. They've got to pull together somehow and put some points on the board. Martese Jackson, left guard hanging out up near the 30-yard line. So certainly a tale of 2 running backs in this one today. With more, let's go to the sideline. Here's Matthew Shinetti.
Absolutely, Rod. And Dwayne, to your point about all the adjustments the Bombers have made to make sure that Andrew Harris gets his touches, and we can see obviously that he's having a tremendous amount of success in Paul LaPolice's offense. Naturally, we spoke to Andrew Harris before the game because we wanted to know his advice for James Wilder, because while Harris is having a productive year and is on pace right now from yards from scrimmage to be about 2,200, who's not being as productive as he wants to be, well, that's James Wilder, and he understands that. But Harris's advice is more of the psychological type. Listen, he said, when defense is key on it, you have to understand and appreciate what they're doing, the stunts, the schemes they're running. Anticipate your pre-snap reads, understand what's coming, because once you start to break down defenses and really increase the mental side of it, then you'll start finding the holes, guys.
Well, it's been a tough go for the Argos to start the season, to start this game, including James Wilder, who, by the way, didn't see many touches at this time last year. He was starting to come into his own, really.
Yeah, really didn't become a starter until the second half of the year.
We need to get Wilder going, though, as Franklin unloads sideline and can't get it all back in one drive, but you've got to find a way to put some points up. Rodney Smith has another catch.
Well, they've got to be efficient. The offense has to stay on the field. I mean, again, it really hurt to not get points out of their last long drive, but you also have to be aware of that time of possession and giving your defense a little bit of a break, because they got dominated in terms of time of possession in the first quarter of this ball game. With a team that can run the ball like Winnipeg, they bury you late in the game if they've got you worn out.
Bombers 12 of 18 minutes to start with the football. Absolutely possessing the clock and the scoreboard. S.J. Green. And there are going to be some bumps in the road, some baby steps as well, as James Franklin becomes more used to Mark Trestman and the Argo offense. There is a reason the Argos went out and got him. They're the most coveted quarterback as a backup in the league. Now Franklin, strong arm into traffic, and almost caught, but there is a flag down. This likely is going to be interference or contact. It was against Amonte Edwards. With two Bombers in the vicinity. This is
illegal
probably
contact. Winnipeg number 45. 10-yard penalty. The result will be a first down.
So the contact call, just 10 yards, keeps the Argo drive alive.
And you had the weak side linebacker, Javon Santos Knox, dropping deep to help out in this coverage. Got away with, well, he didn't get away with it, but a bit of a hip check on the receiver who passed through his zone.
Almost mandatory that the Argos try to find a house here. Over the top and coming back, and a one-hopper. S.J. Green, for a moment, looked like he had a lane. There is a flag down in the backfield. Is it a hold? Franklin got nailed.
Holding, Toronto number 59. That penalty be declined. Second down.
Second down in Bomber territory, just over the midfield line.
And the thing I want you to see here is just the way that the Bombers really collapse the pocket on James Franklin. Get in closer, driving the offensive line back. And this is where you've got to be so aware in terms of your play calling and so on from Toronto's point of view, where I talk about running the football. You've got to keep that D-line honest, because if you're starting to get predictable in terms of throwing the ball, huge advantage to the D-line. That's going to take away Franklin's time in the passing game.
They pick up the blitz, and another. This might be interference, this one. Malcolm Williams almost, I was going to say beckoned it, but I think we're going to say that Friskassened it.
Winnipeg number 26.
It is contact.
10-yard penalty. The result is a first down.
So an illegal contact call, another 10-yarder.
Oh, Malcolm Williams.
Check that. We're going to upgrade that penalty to a pass interference.
It was interference.
It's
more than contact.
Automatic. First down.
So that moves it down, Dwayne, inside the 30-yard line.
Big one for the Argos. Nice effort from Malcolm Williams, former University of British Columbia basketball player. Moved on to play junior football before signing with the Argonauts.
Daniel Cooper on the corner. Again, the Bombers had to make some adjustments before this game with Chris Randall out. Chandler Fenner also out this week. Winnipeg defense, though, has only given up a point here.
Yeah, they've got some depth in terms of their secondary guys, including the nickel linebacker spot.
Franklin with a deep drop. Wants to go long, but instead his release valve was Wilder, who barely got to the line of scrimmage. In fact, may have been dropped for a half-yard loss. Franklin did well to get rid of that. Just could not find anybody open.
And, you know, it may be an opportunity. So we get a look at the ref cam. See this one through the eyes of Tom Valesi, today's referee. You know, again, on that theme of that collapsing pocket, not a bad time to maybe think screen or draw for the Toronto Argonauts. Catch an aggressive defensive line.
Rodney Smith with another catch here. Again, his second game as an Argo. Played last week, had a catch, but his first game is getting the start. 3 catches, 40 yards so far for Rod Smith, who we'll hear from at halftime in the studio. Man.
Well, we saw a couple years ago when he had that catch of the year. I mean, we knew he had a future as a receiver.
In the back lot at TSN. 3rd and inches. little bit of a risky route that time. Franklin gets it, moves the sticks.
Again, another good drive put together by the Toronto Argonauts. Now the key for them as they move inside that 30-yard line is going to be to finish. Develop that killer instinct.
From all accounts, everyone who's been in the huddle with James Franklin talks about how cool he is, lighthearted he is, positive. Big factor. Franklin standing in. Flung it over near Levi Noel, but another incomplete pass, and a key one here. Again, field goals at this point. I know it's early and there's lots of game left. Field goals aren't going to get it done here for the Argos, trying to get some momentum.
Yeah, and the way the Winnipeg offense has been rolling, you know, you maybe take away some of their momentum at least with this drive and keep those Matt Nichols, Andrew Harris, and the rest of them over on the sidelines for a little while. But you're absolutely correct, Rod. You can't trade 3s for 7s.
Key second down. Franklin, now on the side for Noel. Looked for a moment like the Bombers were creeping up to try to pick that off, but it's going to be short of a first down again. So 3rd down and about 4. Remember, Peffer already missed.
Yeah, the offense is staying on the field.
And already 3-down football and just past the midway point of this second quarter.
And I like the aggressiveness of this approach from Mark Trestman and the Toronto Argonauts.
12th play of this drive has eaten up about 5.5 minutes. Crossing pattern and another turnover, this on downs, but it looks like it's going to keep going because of a penalty in the end zone. Big contact on the receiver.
Illegal contact. Winnipeg number 31. 10-yard penalty. The result will be a first down.
Mo Leggett. Argos get a break here.
So illegal contact implies that came earlier in the route. So that looked like a clean breakup at the tail end. And of course, if it had been at that stage of the play, it would have been pass interference, not illegal contact.
So they'll move it down inside the 10.
Leggett had a grab on Edwards as he came across the field on that route.
So a long drive, keeping Matt Nichols and Andrew Harris on the sideline, something they haven't been able to do for the most part. Chewing up the time clock. Trying to get this to the end zone. Wilder in the backfield, takes the handoff and is circling back and going nowhere. In fact, he stopped for almost a 10-yard loss. It should be 10. That play had no chance from the get-go.
Yeah, Wilder absolutely smothered by that Winnipeg defense. Great job by Craig Rowe getting upfield to contain that one, force it back in. Watch Rowe from the right side of your screen. Leading the charge.
On Valazy's view. So Noel in some motion here, throwing down Franklin. And they get it to the end zone. Now he has to take off. Might want to take it. He does. Penalty flag down. Likely a hold against Toronto. Just over 5 minutes to go before halftime.
Back him up, boy. Back him up. It's serious. It is serious. It's serious. You need help.
Argos don't lead the league in many categories, but they are the least penalized team
Toronto number
in the league.
69.
Not so much today.
10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Are you hearing what I'm hearing down there?
I was just enjoying it's not even a live mic game.
But you can hear it.
But, you know, Corey Johnson on the Bombers defensive line is yelling so loud down there, it might as well be.
You can hear it in Mississauga.
And keep an eye. It's William Campbell at left tackle. He's going to end up on number 67. Corey Johnson off the twist. And there you saw right at the tail end, hold as he had the grab with the hands on the outside of the frame.
Something not said too often. Second and goal from the 27. Jump ball in the corner, and there's another penalty flag, and this because it's in the end zone. Take the ball down near the 1 yard line. And they're saying it might be, the Bombers are saying it's against Rodney Smith. Is it offensive pass interference?
Offensive pass interference.
It is.
Number 21. That penalty is declined. Third down.
Now third down from the 27, and so the Argos do have to bring the field goal unit out again.
Here you see the tail end. Watch the arms extend to create some separation. Good call there by the official.
So the heat is on this young kicker, Ronnie Peffer. Wilfred Laurier, 3 of 6 on the season only. Needs this one, and he's hooked it again. And the Bombers are thinking of bringing it out. Kevin Fogg already has scored a touchdown this year on a missed field goal, not this time. And the Bomber team that's had Justin Medlock and Swayze Waters and Lirim Hajrullahu the last few years, and Ronnie Peffer really scuffling right now. Missed 2 today. You put those on the board, it's a 14-point game. Instead, it stays 21 after a 16-play drive that ate up almost 8 minutes. Doubleheader Saturday. Ending off week 6, coming up after this. 9 Eastern tonight, 6 Pacific. Alouettes and the Stamps from McMahon and Calgary. It is a live mic game. Drew Willie's back with the Alouettes. The helm, and Bo Levi Mitchell is playing. Going to start for the Calgary Stampeders, and the mics are on. Experience the game like you never heard it before. Get inside the huddle. Second game. Corey Johnson clearly doesn't need the live mics. Matt Nichols, and a great catch made by Darvin Adams, again, the former Argo. Must be said, though, right now, with the Argos, they do everything possible. Franklin does everything possible, except obviously put it closer to that end zone. Your kicker has to get those field goals. That's twice now they've been close, and they've been badly missed.
Well, they got the kind of drive they were looking for, you know, starting to even up the time of possession a little bit, but yeah, nothing to show for it.
James Franklin looking at the tablet. There has been some positives finally for the Argos offense, and there haven't been many this season. Again, last in the league in points scored, last in the league, or near last in offense, and in fact last in most categories.
Video official has spotted the ball at the 39-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 1.
They are the defending Grey Cup champions. Have been humbled to start this season. Mark Trestman knows, though, that if you can pull together, get things going. 500 in the East could get you first.
Yes, sir.
And could win you a Grey Cup. 2nd and 1. The Strebler comes in. Needed to get over the 40-yard line. Looks like he did. Strebler, of course, started the season for the Bombers with Matt Nichols on the shelf. Showed some great flashes.
Yeah, I think anybody who's seen Chris Strebler play in his brief CFL career believes that the young man has a bright future in this league.
Tough one in BC last week. One of those short yardage plays that didn't work out. Bombers again lost to the Lions. Comes to the 3-minute warning before halftime, and this guy has been in beast mode. Andrew Harris, 14-yarder. That is the 3-minute warning. Toronto Argonauts looking to get the ball back, put some points on the board. It's been a nightmarish first half. The Bombers lighten it up on Family Day in Toronto.
For halftime, and it's all Winnipeg so far. Andrew Harris, Bomber defense, going to talk about that. Also later, Montreal. That's going to be a tough one in Calgary against the top defense of the CFL. Rod Duane, back to you.
Boys are looking good in that studio. Mill rocking that bow tie.
Yeah. You know, Mill usually saves the bow tie for special occasions like opening night, Labor Day, that
or a Bomber game.
True. Yeah, true.
Dunnigan in there, looking good. Boys looking fine. We'll hear from them shortly. Not much to talk about in the Argos perspective. And down the rail they go with a deep shot. Matt Nichols has got a little something going with Darvin Adams for sure. His go-to fly guy.
And you continue to see the symbiotic effect of their run and pass attacks for Winnipeg offensively. Andrew Harris killing them on the ground. You start getting people creeping up towards the line of scrimmage to defend against Harris, and that'll create opportunities to go over the top. To Darvin Adams, that's the 7th time, by the way, Nichols has targeted him.
Over the top, right at the first down marker. Nick Dembski brings that in. Bombers still on this move, trying to extend this lead before halftime. They have been relentless.
Nice job there by Dembski going down and getting that one. Pick up the Bomber first down.
Darius Bowman comes out. They put a tight end set. Harris in the backfield, pistol behind Matt Nichols. Andrew Harris, a little stutter step and plows his way near the 42-yard line, setting up likely a throwing down here for Nichols and company. This is a Bomber team. Don't you get a feeling? Mike O'Shea kind of talked about it yesterday. Nichols talked about it, that there's no panic in the Bombers, even though what happened last week. Don't you get a feeling, though, that they want to put their foot down on somebody's throat right now and not let them up?
That's the kind of response you want after the second half that they had last week. It may serve as something of a wake-up call for this Bombers team going forward.
The win today would put them back at 500 in the ultra-competitive West. It is a running down, and Harris is going to be short. Some decision likely here for Michael O'Shea and the Bombers. Looks like it might be about a yard and a half. No, it's a yard. Will they go? If they do, will they bring Strevler out? Again, the wind is swirling. We've seen the effect a couple of times already. But Justin Medlock is coming out. So they are taking the points here. This would be about a 41-yarder. Almost 42 yards. Well, he's going to actually set that tee back near the 44. Dressler will hold. It's a funky wind, though. You see those banners blowing in all different types of directions. This ball here. Ball is down, kick is up, and Medlock, sure-footed, puts it through. Making it 25-21 and an all-blue and gold first half so far. A minute 15 for James Franklin to get something positive to take to the locker room when we come back. Day here today. Got your boy here. Got my daughter here.
Well, he's here somewhere. He and his buddies.
Dad's credit card?
I keep expecting to see like stadium security scurrying to a section. That's when I'll know where he is.
Well, that's what it's about. That's what sports is about, especially the professional sports. James Franklin, that was almost taken back. Marcus Ailes, first-year Blue Bomber halfback, almost had his second interception. If he did, this was going to the house. Rodney Smith, actually a great defensive play.
Making good use of those long arms. 6'6" receiver.
A minute 10 to go. If the Argos don't get a first down here, Winnipeg's going to get the ball again. Just chucking it up there. Jump ball. Just does not seem to be any kind of continuity for the Argo offense. Even on that long drive, it was kind of penalty assisted back and forth. They've been in spits and starts today, and they have a lot of adjustments to make at halftime.
Well, they certainly do need to get things settled down.
So Winnipeg gets it back again. Another 2 and out. Here comes Kevin Fogg, and Fogg pops it up, and Levi Noel could go the distance. And it's the spark the Argos need out of nowhere. Well, if your offense can't do it, and your defense is struggling, call on the special teams. And Levi Noel, one of the best special teams players for the Argos, is Johnny on the spot. Takes it the distance after Kevin Fogg coughed it up. An Argo bounce.
On the benefit that you don't necessarily have a ton of receivers, and especially starting receivers who are going to play on special teams cover units. In Levi Noel, you happen to have one of those guys. Sure-handed guy who can get down the field quickly, has the wheels to run away from would-be tacklers once he scoops this one up. Huge play and much needed for the Toronto Argonauts.
Guy who was third in special teams tackles last year for Toronto. And his first special teams touchdown, his third career touchdown. So maybe the jump start they need, they'll go for 2 here. And easy catch in the corner for Armani Edwards to put 2 on the board. And just like that, just when you're talking about the Argos needing something desperate. Opportunity knocks and desperation is answered.
Yeah, the tough break for Kevin Fogg because he's making the right play trying to come up and get that ball in the air, but you see the effect sometimes is the ball's coming down quickly, you're running forward quickly, and it hits the pads and takes an aggressive bounce going back towards the cover team.
Ronnie Peffer with the boot. 49 yards to pay dirt goes Levi Noel. Local boy. Played with the U of T, played some junior football as well. 4th round pick of the Argos 2 years ago. So, as humbled as the Argos have been, it's a 2-possession ball game.
It is a 2-possession football game, and again, they've had some success moving the football. So for the Toronto Argonauts, despite a half that feels like they have been dominated, there's very much reason to believe that they are right in this football game.
Suddenly, a pooch kick, taking it away from the spin. Another fumble, but knocked out of bounds. Bombers with a couple of gifts here late in the second quarter, and I'm sure Mike O'Shea on the other side. Hey guys, wakey wakey.
Well, again, knowing the way that the last 30 minutes went against the BC Lions last week, he doesn't want to see his team take the foot off the gas with the lead.
So Matt Nichols with 46 to go. Ken Gunsling. You have a 16-point lead. You've dominated almost every facet of the game so far.
And I'm thinking, though, you're not thinking about shutting her down and going to the dressing room quietly here. I think you want to finish with a bang.
And it's better to give it to than this guy who immediately bowls his way for a first down. Now with 40 to go, you still got a lot of time here. You can get it into field goal range for that left foot of Justin Medlock again.
When you refer to his field goal range, it is as great as any kicker in this league.
Justin Medlock, who has been such a high percentage kicker in his time. We could see him, longest this season, 50, but has booted a 59-yarder in the past. We've seen Justin Medlock in warm-up, though, routinely sometimes kick them from 65 to 70 yards. And it's a fumble. And as conservative as they are, the Argonauts are saying they have it. Are you kidding me? It's Toronto football. The Bombers weren't putting it in the air. They were leaving it on the ground with Harris, who's sure-handed. But another fumble, and suddenly the Argos can put more points on the board. A pass away from being in field goal range.
Well, the tackler, I believe it was Justin Tuggle, who stepped up to make the tackle and put his lid right on that football and popped it out of there.
Well, I'm sure the guys at halftime are all sitting there thinking, okay, now we're going to talk about how brutal the Argos have played in this first half. And
yeah, well, I think
how they get suddenly this has turned. And again, with Ronnie Peffer, though, struggling, going to have to get it downfield quickly to get it in field goal range, or maybe even take a shot here. Franklin's taking a shot here down the sideline, and it's caught, and immediately field goal range for James Wilder. 5 seconds, and here comes Peffer. Ronnie Peffer, who has been a little beleaguered here today, 0 for 2 on field goal attempts, has hooked them badly.
Big kudos to James Franklin for getting it done on that one. Because as he was taking a shot downfield to James Wilder Jr., he also took a shot in the pocket, absorbing a big hit as he threw that one.
So Peffer, again, he is hooked left twice. They haven't been long shots. This from just outside the 30. Final play, and this time it's through, and maybe that will boost his confidence. I'll tell you what, the Argos went from the Walking Dead to suddenly alive. 11 points in 49 seconds. They were down 24. They're down 13.
Yeah, cutting it nearly in half. It's not how you start, but how you finish as the Argos grab the momentum to finish the first half of this game.
And the Bombers know that well. We've got a game here suddenly as we send it to Rod and the boys in the studio.
13 at the half. Here's Milt with the stats.
Well, once again, the Bombers, just like
from the CN Tower at BMO Field, where the Argos suddenly have sprung to life before the second half. Here's Argo quarterback James Franklin with Matthew Shinetti.
James, I think you got the momentum you needed at the end of that half. What was discussed to get back into this game in the locker room?
Just continue to believe and execute. I mean, we obviously had some mistakes and got to throw the ball a little bit better, but just continue to execute and keep believing, and hopefully we can get it done.
In terms of the details, is that running game? Is that trying to stretch the field? What do you think you need to do to kind of exploit their defense?
I think just not overcomplicate things. Go out there and play football, try and run the ball good. If it's there, throw it, a good throw. If it's not, don't throw and just reset. But just continue to have fun and not get stressed, because situations like this can be very stressful because you're down, you want to come back and win, but just keep having fun and keep playing football.
Thanks, Jim.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Always affable James Franklin. Guy's always smiling. Mark Trestman, always positive. Did not look good. It looked bleak for the Argos. That second quarter, down 24, and not looking good for Ronnie Peffer, who righted his own ship. The huge field goal left 5 points, though, off the scoreboard, and those 5 points could prove pivotal. Add them up right now, and it's an 8-point ball game. So Ronnie Peffer and the Argos against a Bomber team that has also been down this road before.
Yeah, I was going to say, oddly enough, despite having a 13-point lead, kind of feels like the pressure is on the Blue Bombers right now to not have a repeat of last week's second half performance. So the way they start this half defensively, looking for a quick 2 and out.
Bombers have held the lead at the half in 2 of their 3 losses this season. See how it plays out here. See what happens when pressure starts to be applied. Martese Jackson. There's a flag down, likely illegal block of some sort on that return, a hold, and that will make it a longer field for James Franklin. What do you think James Franklin and the Argo offense has to do here in this second half?
During the return, holding, Toronto number 11, 10-yard penalty, first down.
The biggest thing to me for James Franklin and the Toronto offense isn't really about moving the ball. It's just about finishing drives, not relying on Ronnie Peffer and field goal attempts once they get that ball down inside the 40, inside the 30-yard line. They've got to find a way to finish. In terms of putting drives together, they've done a decent job. You know, you look at a drive where they ate up almost 8 minutes, marched the ball down the field, you know, and have nothing to show for it. That can't happen. You know, a drive after they give up 2 Winnipeg touchdowns, they march down the field, and a drive that's a great response in terms of taking away momentum. You're settling for a field goal attempt where, again, once again, you're settling for a single. They've got to find a way to finish when they get in close.
Again, that penalty takes them back to their 11-yard line, where Franklin pulls it back and goes throwing right away and out of the backfield. And brought down S.J. Green. He's been targeted a few times today, has only a couple catches. Throwing that out in the flat.
S.J. Green, as usual, the Argos' leading receiver, came into today's game with 20 catches. Half of those came last week against the Edmonton Eskimos, and more than half of the 231 yards, 236 yards with which he started the day came in that game as well.
The thing for the Argo receivers is that not one Argo receiver has a touchdown. Declan Cross, fullback, has a pair of touchdowns. Flag down here. Again, the inability to finish is hurting them. Again, here's Tom Valese.
Major foul, face mask. Toronto number 69. It'll be applied at the end of the play, half the distance to the goal, third down.
So now a long field just got longer, and it's third down. And Ronnie Peffer is going to be in his end zone. And there's likely a guy who's seeking redemption, waiting to return. Here's the face mask here.
They get an up-close look.
Peffer is going to kick it out in a good boot. Kevin Fogg makes sure he has this, grasps it, and then runs into a crowd, but good starting point for Matt Nichols and the Blue Bombers.
A great starting point for Matt Nichols and the Blue Bombers, just inside Toronto Argonaut territory. So far, so good in terms of recapturing that momentum. The defense did their part with a 2 and out and providing the O with this great starting position.
Argo penalties didn't help on that return and that face mask, though, and a good boot by Peffer. Otherwise, this could be even a worse starting point for the Argo defense. 57-yard kick. Nichols first and 10 from the 52 of Toronto. Andrew Harris has running room. Loads of it. Oh, and a high hurdle by Andrew Harris up near the 35-yard line. And Andrew Harris continuing where he left off, really in that first quarter.
Watch the work once again by Jamarcus Hardrick pulling around. He does a great job logging the end on the far side, meaning pinning him to the inside to allow Andrew Harris to get outside. There it is on the linebacker tuggle. And Harris turning it upfield.
Hurdles over Jermaine Gabriel. Nichols over the top, and a good defensive play by the veteran Marcus Ball. Andrew Harris in this game, 95 yards rushing. James Wilder in this game, -5 yards rushing.
Well, that tells you a story. Take a look back at that last Andrew Harris run, and the hurdle reminds me we should pass on our congratulations to the officially retired Nick Lewis, signing a contract with Calgary the other day to retire as a Stampeder.
Congratulations to Nick. Nichols Has to scramble and down the sideline. Finds Weston Dressler for a first down inside the 10-yard line. Nichols gets out of trouble, goes through his reads, and Dressler was alone on his own island on that far side of the sunshine.
Well, Dressler staying alive on the route. Matt Nichols, not a noted scrambler, but doing a nice job to use his legs to extend the play while keeping his eyes downfield.
Play is not going to start. Flags down.
Procedure. Winnipeg number 66. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Move it back 5 yards. Don't you think it's a real key for the Argo defense early in this third quarter? This stand right here to at the very least just hold the Bombers to a field goal.
Well, this is it, already within field goal range, in a position to put points on the board. Yeah, you've got to limit the bleeding.
Nichols goes behind center this time. First and goal. And the option just pitches it out to Harris. Bashes inside the 5-yard line. So now second and goal for Andrew Harris. What I like watching the Winnipeg Blue Bomber offense is they're like snowflakes. No play is similar. There's so many different calls.
Well, it's the multi-pronged attack. Like that time, you don't know whether it's going to be a sweep to Dembski going from right to left.
And Harris squirming down near the 1-yard line. It will mean third down and goal. Medlock's coming on the field. I'm not sure that they're going to make this call here. Remember last week, this is where the Bombers shot themselves in their cleats last week. Strebler came in, and so they're going third down here, and Nichols stays in. And Matt Nichols is stood up, looks like he's in, a touchdown, penalty flag down though. So there was some movement on the line. Is it against Winnipeg? Is it against Toronto?
Offside on defense. That penalty is declined. Touchdown.
Matt Nichols and the Blue Bombers have scored here to open up the second half. It's something they did not do. Close proximity last week in BC.
Yeah, and
third down.
And this is what they needed once the comeback, so to speak, started for the Toronto Argonauts late in the first half of this ball game. As you said, Rod, last week when the comeback started, there was never a response from Winnipeg. They never answered the bell. They never stopped that momentum. So this is a big one in terms of righting that ship.
Justin Medlock again perfect on the season. Point afters remains that way. And that lead is now 20. 3-possession game once again, so the Argos need to manufacture a response. Great momentum shift out of the locker room again for the Bombers. And Matt Nichols puts it over the goal line. Nichols, the Blue Bombers lead the Argos 32-12, had a 24-point lead in the first half, come out of the locker room. Their defense holds, a couple of penalties. I guess we could go back and debate it whether the Argos should have maybe given up 2 there in the end zone. That's debatable, and instead of punting it back, to have the wind with them. But Nichols and the Bombers march down and score again. It's up to Toronto to respond now. And here's Jackson. Martise runs into the back of one of his own players. And so the starting point is near the 30-yard line for James Franklin again.
Well, and with each passing possession for the Toronto Argonauts, the sense of urgency increases slightly to get going and get a major on that board. Argo's only touchdown in this game coming late in the first half, courtesy of a special teams fumble recovery taken to the house by Levi Noel.
Argo team that again averaging just 15 points per game. Not scored many touchdowns. Play action. Franklin. There's a complete miscommunication there with S.J. Green on that break. Franklin threw too early, and SJ wasn't even in his break at that point.
Yeah, I was going to say timing completely off, and maybe a case of quarterback and receiver still developing that familiarity together. Franklin making just his third start as a Toronto Argonaut.
Again, a team that won the cup back in November, but much different look. No Ricky Ray around. Franklin still trying to get it together. Nice move here by Brandon Burks, and another great move. And Burks, however, after all of that dancing, still going down. And another 2-and-out for the Argo offense.
Yeah, I think Brandon Burks, the running back, probably ran about 15 yards after the catch for a net gain of, well, nothing.
Adam Bighill, initial contact, and this Bomber defense stifling the Argos. Peffer, another good boot. He struggled with his field goals today, but his punting has been spot on. Watch out for this guy, though. Fogg. He has some redemption in mind after coughing up the ball earlier. Past the punter. Kevin Fogg down the sideline, and a big return. And the official on the sideline goes flying, but Fogg also flying down the sideline. And that might put him in some better standing with his coaching staff right now. 60-yard boot, 54-yard romp by Kevin Fogg.
And here you see Kevin Fogg down the sideline setting up his Bombers with great field position. And we hope the official's okay.
There's our buddy Andrew Wakefield. Good sport. He is the down judge.
Yes, and Andrew taking his job title maybe a little too literally here. You're going to see him right on the very left side of the screen, backpedaling down the sideline.
Down judge goes down.
Shaking it off, ready for duty here.
As all of our hardy officials in the Canadian Football League. There's Andrew. He's been around the league for a while.
Yeah, neat story as a guy who's worked his way up from being a minor official in his early days to being on the main crew, making sure he knows where those guys are.
Yeah, please tell me. Well, the Bombers really can put the hammer down here. Dembski has running room, goes down to the 15-yard line. Alden Darby making the tackle, but again, the chain gang moves, and they're right inside that red zone area again.
And again, this is what stands out so much about Nick Dembski. Such a dynamic player with the ball in his hands. Ability to make people miss.
3 catches, 35 yards. Inside pitch here to Dressler. He's running out of room as Ronnie Yell pushes him out of bounds. He gets to the line of scrimmage.
Keeping with the Bomber way, that one's well defended by the Toronto Argonauts, but essentially outside of the 5 offensive linemen, you never know which of the other 7 guys on the field could be carrying the ball, and they will force you to defend every gap sideline to sideline in that run game.
Past the midway point in the third quarter. Time running out already on the Argos. The Bombers take it to the end zone on this drive. This could be over. Marvin Adams hauled down by Yell down to the 10-yard line on second down. So they're going to limit them to a field goal attempt by Justin Medlock, who is money in this area. Simply put, the Argo offense has to get its act together. Defense has been on the field way too much.
Yeah, to start this half in particular. Argos need to put together another one of those 8-minute drives. So they might not want to eat up that much time anymore.
Mike O'Shea is challenging here. Winnipeg 0 for 1 in challenges so far this season. Shea feels that he's going to throw the flag here.
Winnipeg is challenging. There was defensive pass interference on the play. We'll review the play.
So we'll leave that in the capable hands of CFL Command. They'll take a look at that. We'll have the verdict when we come back to Toronto and BMO Field. The Blue Bombers ahead by 20 and threatening again. Decision from CFL Command on that potential interference call that Mike O'Shea flagged.
After review, there's no defensive pass interference. The ruling on the field stands. It'll be third down.
So O'Shea has lost that challenge. 0 for this season. So Medlock
Winnipeg is also challenged with a timeout.
Losing a timeout.
I think they're actually charged with the timeout.
It's also a challenge, though. You're challenged and charged.
Yeah, now had illegal contact been
You're hard on the
challengeable. No, I'm not. I'm just messing with you. You know I love the officials.
We do.
I appreciate the officials in this league.
16-yard boot for Medlock. Puts it through. Makes the lead 35-12. Let's go to the sideline once again. Our intrepid shooter, Matthew Shinetti.
Well, Rod, we're looking at the score, so naturally, and one of the questions I get a lot is what's going on with the Argos who are not playing, specifically right now, Ricky Ray. Speaking to the Argos, listen, it's a careful situation. Ray does watch the games from the Argos dressing room, and he's been so involved in meetings around the players constantly and contributing in his own way. And the Argos have obviously let the recuperating time take all the time it needs. He is in a neck brace right now. He will come out when he is ready. When that process is done, he will begin strengthening his neck muscles and on the way to recovery. Now, Bear Woods also, interestingly, might be available to get back in pads and train next week. He's basically changed his entire body. No deadlifts, no squats. He's cut, he's lean. He used to be thicker and bigger before. He says, I'm 31 years old. I wanted to reshape my body anyway, but a back surgery in the off-season kind of forced me to look at things differently. But as he says, he hopes to start contributing soon, but he hopes to start practicing specifically in pads next week. Guys.
All right, Dr. Shinetti. I liked all those injury reports.
Bear Woods has reshaped the body, but fans will be relieved to know same hair.
Yes. Yes.
Same magnificent locks.
And the Argos missed Bear Woods. The Bombers have not today. Have run roughshod. And Argos defense. Edwards can't hang on. It's almost like every pass downfield to an Argo receiver is met by a triple, almost a quadruple team.
There's a collision.
And they are proficient. That guy right there with that war paint on, number 16, he is always lurking.
Well, I'm a little surprised to see Taylor Loeffler actually playing the ball and not going for the big hit. But so often, yeah, they're very tight windows trying to throw that ball deep against the Bomber secondary.
Another 2 and out by the Argos. Kevin Fogg is curtailed this time. 4:44 to go, third quarter. Matt Nichols putting up some big numbers again today. Bombers trying to get back in the win column, get back to 500 and well on their way to doing that. Here in Toronto today, Saturday, late afternoon football on TSN. Who began the season as a spectator, a mentor to Chris Streveler, and really a cheerleader for the Blue Bombers. That's a lot of jobs. That's a lot of jobs, but now his #1 job, and what he does rather well, is throw footballs.
Producing touchdowns. Darvin Adams, touchdown. Andrew Harris, touchdown. Matt Nichols for the keep, touchdown. Getting it done today at the helm of the Bomber offense.
You are CFL wired today, my friend.
I'm running on fumes today, buddy.
Late night last night in Ottawa. Good football game that was. Red Blacks hanging on to beat the BC Lions. And yeah, we talked a little bit last night for fans getting ready to watch Montreal Alouettes. Calgary Stampeders coming up. Seen a lot of parity early in the season. It's kind of been a roller coaster ride for almost every team except the Stampeders. Good game, bad game, good game, bad game. Adjustment almost for every team. And it's been a struggle. We saw Chris Streveler throwing. So we might see some Streveler here. And if the game gets a little more out of hand, might be a good time to give the rookie a little more playing time, and in particular, protect your number one asset.
Yeah, well, it becomes a bit of a fine line too, because Nichols hasn't played a lot. You want to make sure he gets enough reps to get into rhythm as well.
And he's going down. First time they get to him today. It's Kenny Bishop. He's dancing. First sack of the ball game. Not see Streveler too soon anyway, because the Argos can score here in the late part of the third quarter. You never know.
And big Ken Bishop is going to go with the bull rush here. Finds himself with a free ride to the running back, Andrew Harris, after Matthias Gosen blew a tire. Imagine the look on Harris's face as he saw 3 Bills coming at him untouched.
You remember those cartoons where I think it was a Wile E. Coyote always kind of got rolled over by a big boulder? It's kind of like what that was like. Big kick by Medlock. Jackson hauls it in. Finds a seam. Cutting back. And up near the 40-yard line, no flags. So James Franklin in this final 3 minutes of the third quarter needs to get some more points again. That's been mandatory. Coming up, CFL Wired on Tuesday.
It's going down. It's going down there. Y'all heard it.
And intercepted.
I'll take it. I'll take it. That's mine. I hit the ball out. How did I not get that? What you talking about? Couldn't even make our team. I hate you, bro. I hate him.
Love that inside stuff. Tuesday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Behind the scenes and mic'd up. And James Franklin's going down. Fumble football, and the Bombers have it. Sack, strip, fumble, recovery. Mo Leggett doing some damage in the backfield. And the Bombers force the turnover. And it's Drake Nevis with the football.
Yeah, Drake getting it done in the 6, Rod.
You were waiting all day for that.
I really wasn't. Fell right into my lap. Nevis, one of the underrated defensive tackles in this league. Benefiting Jackson Jeffcoat with the strip. Nevis with the recovery.
Franklin really stands tall in the pocket, then tries to storm out, but the strip, sack in the strip, and again, Bomber football. Nichols from the gun. Play action with Harris, and wide open is Dembski again. Gonna find Day. A fumble though, and another scoop. And Jermaine Gabriel looking to score. Jermaine Gabriel will score. Oh my goodness, this game is nuts. Have a chance to really bury the Argos, and again another fumble, and it goes the distance.
If the Argos can just force 2 more fumbles, it's been their #1 play, the scoop and score, serving them well. Levi Noel in the first half, now Jermaine Gabriel. Picks it up and takes it to the house. As Dembski was fighting for extra yards on the play.
Tremaine Washington was the guy that brought the ball out, and suddenly Walking Dead Part 2. Back to life.
Oh, they just won't go away quietly.
35-18, going for two again. And tip drill in the end zone. Flag down as Franklin went down. It's roughing the passer probably here. Move it down to the 1 yard line. Make it a little easier for the Argos to get their deuce.
Yeah, Bombers let them off the hook after getting the stop.
Once again, make this a two-possession game if they
Major foul,
score.
roughing the passer. Winnipeg 95. We're going to go half the distance to the goal, and we're going to repeat the convert.
I believe it was Jake Thomas. Arriving a little late at the Argo quarterback. Now the man making the call is the referee, Tom Valesi. So there's how he saw it.
So it's going to be Franklin all by himself here, trying to get in for two. He does. Guess what? Two-possession game again.
Yes, sir. Lots of football left to be played with. 1:36 to go here in the third quarter.
Argos are kind of like that little dog, that terrier that bites at your heels. Can't shake them. That's how they're playing today. Their offense has been pretty much silent. But it's been special teams and their defense on two scooping scores.
Well, it worked for him in the Grey Cup. Why not today?
One of those heroes in the Grey Cup not in the lineup. We talk about Cassius Vaughn as well.
The man filling Cassius Vaughn's shoes, Tremaine Washington, was the guy who forced the fumble.
Stand by. Again, just when it looks like we're talking about a backup quarterback coming in to mop up and get some playing time. Not so fast. So Peffer. Final 96 seconds of this third quarter. Do the Argos have a comeback in them? Floats one down. Down to Tyneo Cooper. Near the 40-yard line. And Marcus Ball comes up with the football. Argos are saying they have it, but it was whistled down, and I think Cooper also was down. The MO right now for the Argos is to try to strip as many footballs as possible.
Look at the tail end of that. Great special teams tackle here by number 6, Marcus Ball. Form tackle, and he's going right after that ball. He wasn't able to pry it down until, as you said, Rod, Tyneo Cooper was down.
Well, the Bombers giving up the football a couple of times now. It's up to the Argo defense to hold again. And Andrew Harris with a fumble, Nick Dembski with a fumble. They've been costly. The Argos do not lead and have not led by any stretch today on the scoreboard, but they lead in one big department.
Yes, sir. Points off turnovers. 2 fumble recoveries returned for touchdowns. They hold the edge in that category, 19-7. Bombers' first touchdown, of course, came off a fumble punt.
Flag flies. Coming back to it. First catch made by Drew Wolotarski today. They're saying incomplete. That was the first target for
Prior to the
Wolotarski.
snap, procedure. Winnipeg number 51. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Advantage here going to the Argo defense. 2nd and plus yardage situation here. 2nd and 12 for the Bomber offense.
So Nichols again from the gun. Final 18 seconds of the third quarter. The Bombers will have to win to the 4th. The out pattern, and it's a 50-50. And it's knocked away. It was a fight for that football. TJ Heath, the former Bomber, guy who who was with the Argonauts for a while, went to Winnipeg, now back in Toronto, makes a big play at the right time.
Heath, of course, dealt from Toronto just after he had turned in a 2-interception performance against the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Right after the game.
Yeah, dealt to Winnipeg in the trade that brought Drew Willie
on his birthday.
So a year and a half with the Bombers, and he finds himself back in double blue.
Medlock, shortish kick against the wind for Jackson. Martise Jackson jumping into the hole, an excellent field position, and suddenly a spark again for these Argos, who will not go away on their home turf today. We head to the fourth quarter. 35-20. Bombers still in command, but the Argos still scrapping away. Argos football when we come back on the Bombers side of the field. Can they make it even more interesting? Well, the biggest difference right now that keeps the Argos in this game as we head to the fourth quarter is the points off turnovers. Bombers have a 15-point lead. They had a 24-point lead at one point and really have dominated this game, but for some reason, a Toronto team continues to fight and come off the canvas. 15-point lead. Remember, the Bombers had a 17-point advantage and lost in BC last week, and you wonder if that's still in their kitchen a little bit.
Well, you have to wonder, right? Often that sort of thing can become, I don't want to say a habit, but as you said, it gets planted in the back of your mind, and as it starts to happen, you do start to unravel. So a couple big plays for the Toronto Argonauts, and ironically, as the Bombers are actually winning the turnover battle 3-2. But it's what the Argos have done with those turnovers, 2 of them scoring directly on the play.
Argos, who did not even have a first down in the third quarter, still hanging in. The pulse was faint for a while. There was a flag before this play began. Argos have a substitution now. Rodney Smith goes out for Martise Jackson.
Offside. Winnipeg number 54. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
So 1st and 5.
And now they substitute back. So good field position here. Obviously promising down and distance with which to start the possession.
James Wilder has been very quiet. Made a big catch late in the second quarter, but really nothing else. Will he get the rock a little more? They throw it far to that side. That's right at the first down marker, but a dangerous toss by James Franklin, and he finds Malcolm Williams, the Maple Ridge, BC native. Played at UBC, played some junior football as well. First down Argos. Their first down of the second half comes early in the fourth quarter.
And the Argos are starting to mix it up a little bit with their personnel packages. Now getting into tight end set.
And a waggle out here with S.J. Green. And Franklin going over the top, and that is picked off. And it's Marcus Sayles still hanging in, and Sayles gets plastered. Not sure what he was thinking.
I think he thought he was back in college, and he took his knee touchdown, and I think he thought the play was over. And 300 pounds of William Campbell reminded him that no, it was not.
A costly interception by the Argos here early in the fourth when they had some momentum. Sayles, second pick as a CFLer.
Yeah, and this one is just a throw that got away. He's looking for Declan Cross working towards the corner of the field. Timing is off. He's well ahead of the receiver with that football. Marcus Sayles with the pick, and on this last turn, his knee touches down. I think he thinks, all right, I'm done. Boom. Now you're done.
Bombers trying to put this thing away finally and put the Argos away. Far side for Wolotarski. His first catch is a first down.
I'll show you.
Marcus made 2 highlight reels in one play.
Let's go! And then when I saw you kind of like,
That is a hard way to learn the rules.
To have a large man fall on top of you. Nichols, he was being harassed in that backfield, gets knocked down, wanted a flag, not getting it. So now a key second down again for Winnipeg.
You're going to see Abdul Kana come from the right side of your screen on the blitz. Nichols looking for Dembski on the screen right on the right side of that protection.
There's that ref cam again. Great view from Tom Valese today.
Offside. Toronto number 40. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Don't forget, coming up after this game, second half of our doubleheader, conclusion to week 6 in the CFL. Stamps and Alouettes. Alouettes off to a slow start. Stamps off to a torrid, undefeated start. Of course, the mics will be on at McMahon Stadium tonight. Wired for sound. 2nd and 5. Quick hitter. Dembski hanging on to that football. Stretching for extra yardage up near the Toronto 45.
And big play for the first down. Nick Dembski. Quick hitter, good timing from Matt Nichols.
15-point lead. Bombers know, had they done it last time, even this time, they pretty much can put up the sails here. Thanks to Marcus Sayles as well. That interception. Some more points off turnovers. Harris pounds that ground.
Combination of the Winnipeg commitment to the run game and the physical toll that that's going to take on a defensive line, and you factor in the Argos D-line rotation being thinned out a little bit. Dylan Wynn out of the lineup. Frank Beltre out of the lineup.
6 receivers for Nichols on second down, and Dressler sprung down the sideline, cutting back and brought down. And the Bombers will go first down inside that red zone. Well, they're going to mark it near the 21. Chance to put the final nails in here with still lots of time left, but this offense dissecting right now.
And safety blitz coming up the middle. Jermaine Gabriel manages to find his way through the A-gap that time, but Nichols gets the ball out in a hurry. Weston Dressler for another Bomber first down.
5 receptions, 72 yards for the former Rough Rider. Wearing blue and gold now, and such a key figure. Andrew Harris, close to 130 yards rushing on the afternoon.
And Harris looking for his 3rd consecutive game of 100+ yards on the ground.
CFL rushing leader, and again, these two teams are back at it next week in Winnipeg. Look at the difference in rush yards. Plus 145 for Winnipeg. Toronto really abandoned the run early, and they had to. They were down so much. Harris once more. Cutting back. Crashing ahead. They're going to mark this. Had to get to the 10 for a first down to go first and goal. It's 3rd down and a yard. O'Shea is pointing at Justin Medlock, but now pointing him back. They're going to go.
Yep, big bodies coming in.
Streveler.
Joined by fullback Mike Miller and offensive lineman Michael Couture.
Really has to be a must-stop here for the Argos if we have any chance of continuing
And now it's Medlock in the field goal team.
Maybe some of that residue from last week on those third down plays coming into play, but also just doing the math.
Yeah, exactly. Extend it to a 3-possession lead.
9-14, 3 possessions. The way they've controlled the football, that should be good enough. Michael Shea, Buck Pierce in the background. Medlock perfect today, 2 for 2. 11 for 13 on the season. 12 field goals now on the season for 14 for the veteran Justin Medlock. And it is a 3-possession ball game. Bombers look to have assumed command once again. Under 9 minutes to play in this one, and they can get ready for next week, the rematch in the Peg. Now the Argos head to Winnipeg next week and trying to get something positive going here. A dropped football by Rodney Smith. 8:47 to go, and try as they might, just inability to get anything going offensively will be something that the Argos will talk about all week long. Try to correct those mistakes, get some momentum.
Yeah, and again, some good flashes in the first half. We talked about the drives. I think a couple of those long drives.
Look out.
Long drives where they came away with nothing kind of sucked the wind out of their sails. I mean, those can be a little bit demoralizing for a team. It changes the mood, the body language on the sideline. You know, a little bit like a hockey game. You can be carrying the play and all of a sudden you let in one soft goal.
250 yards difference offensively. Kevin Fogg's got some room here if he wants it. He is pummeled near the 28-yard line. 7:52 to go. Andrew Harris, monster day again. So too the Bomber offense. 38-20 they lead. And Toronto is the legend pinball, an American Ninja Warrior. Like Canadian Ninja Warrior, because he's basically Canadian now. Mondays 8-9 Mountain CTV. Everybody wants a picture with pinball. Amazing what can happen when we all pull together. And there is a man who is living proof that every day life brings you something good.
He could afford to lighten up a little bit.
Yes. A little too shy. Pinball.
Yeah, if he ever comes out of his shell, he could really do something.
Pinball, such a fixture in the community. Ambassador, coach, player, Hall of Famer, life coach. And a second cousin to Dexter McCluster, who was signed by the Argos this week. His wife Diane, a second cousin. Who knows? We might see McCluster.
Just for the clarification of our fans.
Yeah.
He's Diane's second.
Diane's second cousin. Yes.
Diane is not Michael's second cousin.
No. But family-wise,
because that would be kind of weird.
Family-wise, that's. I guess you're right. But McCluster is here. Practiced with the team this week. Former returner, running back in the NFL.
Former Pro Bowler.
At Ole Miss. So the family's second cousin is whatever.
Just wanted to be clear, Rod. Good
clarification. Well noted. Justin Medlock. Final 6.5 minutes. Argos need something special from another special team play. Maybe here. Jackson trying to get the edge. Maybe not. Into a mosh pit at the 50. Time winding down on the Argos. Like they're going to fall to 1-4 as defending Grey Cup champions. Unless they have a miracle in store. McCluster with more. Here's Matthew Shinetti.
Rod, Dexter McCluster came in this week and didn't really practice because he was starting to learn the Canadian game. It's a thing we hear quite a bit. Although, as you guys were talking about, there is a connection here. Dexter McCluster is a second cousin of Mike Pinball Clemens, so there is a little bit of Canadian football lineage there. But the fact is this, with McCluster here, the questions started rising about two things. One, the return game, and obviously also the running game. And James Wilder hasn't been as productive as he's wanted to be, and he's mentioned that. But Mark Trestman is always about competition for spaces. He always wants someone to come in because, as the coach was saying this week, he wants everyone to, yes, focus on the game plan and execute it, but always know that their position is a bit of a question mark because the coach wants to learn about his players week to week. McCluster understood that, and interestingly, James Wilder Jr., knowing all the struggles he's going through right now, says he actually texted Dexter McCluster to get him up here because Wilder wants to embrace this atmosphere of competition because, at least he's telling us, it's going to benefit the whole team, guys.
All right, thank you, Matt. See how this goes with McCluster. Look at this play. There's Wilder out of the backfield. Running wild now and up near the 52-yard line. Dexter McCluster has never been to Canada before, but you look at the numbers he put up in the National Football League. There's a reason he was a Pro Bowler. His time with Kansas City and his time Tennessee and San Diego. A lot of touchdowns, a returner as well. Fractured his forearm back in September 2016. Never played after that. So he's got still some legs, and birth certificate isn't that old. Third down. Argos keep it going.
Another one of those tight windows. Franklin threads the needle to Wilder for the first down. Argos just kind of staying alive here down the stretch.
Have not been able to get it deep downfield. Maybe this time, Amani Edwards leaping high. Incomplete.
Yeah, that one off the fingertips. But again, as we've talked about, every time they throw that ball downfield, coverage is tight. The Bomber secondary's done a nice job.
Second down has been a killer for the Argos, though, so far tonight.
It sure has. Just 3 of 14. And second down conversions, 0 for their last 8 in that regard.
Over the top. Now it'll have to be a third down conversion.
0 for their last 9.
Effer was going to go out, but he's been called back. Declan Cross comes in, so it's 3-down football right now for the Argos. Again, Alouettes and Stamps coming up after this. The live mics are on tonight at McMahon Stadium. Drew Willie back with the Alouettes. Levi Mitchell, who was banged up last week, will be a quarterback for the Stampeders. And that's it. Ball will be turned over.
And it was Jake Thomas who got through with the sack and strip. And Thomas, a swim move to the outside on Tyler Holmes and through to the backfield.
Argo offense, furthest downfield they've been in the second half. Bomber 43-yard line. Not getting it done. So as ticks down to the 3-minute warning, Matt Nichols. Salt this away for Winnipeg. Head back home with a 500 record. This guy set the tone. Andrew Harris in that first half.
Yeah, another big day, third consecutive 100-yard rushing game for Harris. You know, and anticipating a steady diet of Andrew Harris down the stretch here. He could have a shot at his career high single game rushing number.
147 is that number.
Currently sits at 138 according to our friend here in the booth, the Sultan of Stats, John Russin.
He's step on him. And he'll lose a couple yards. We wonder if Harris might get shut down here, maybe even Matt Nichols. As we go to the 3-minute warning, we'll take a break and come back in the final moments. Winnipeg can now put it in cruise control. 3-possession ball game. The Bombers will move to 500 here in Toronto. Our home, Alouettes and Stampeders coming up right after this. 9 o'clock Eastern tonight. Busy day in the sports world. The Open Championship. Three-way tie for the lead. That's on all day tomorrow. Tiger Woods is in the hunt. And even though the Argos faithful, probably a little disappointed with the outcome of this one. Great family day. Good to see all the kids out today. A lot of them getting a chance to get some selfies and pictures with Pinball Clemens as well. Never a bad idea to spend a day at the park. Well, we still have 2:09 to go, but 40, you might as well do it. 38-20, the Bombers leading. James Franklin coming out. Might as well hand out our Nissan Titan Player of the Game.
Nissan Titan Player of the Game goes to a gentleman who has carried the ball 24 times today for 134 rushing yards. He has also added 2 receptions for 16 yards for those keeping track at home. That's 26 touches, 150 yards for today's Nissan Titan Player of the Game, Andrew Harris.
Brought to you by Nissan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. Andrew Harris has won a lot of Nissan Titan Player of the Games.
He has. Yes.
I think he'd share a little bit.
You know what? They should give him a car.
Not a bad thought.
Just saying, if I owned a big company. And
tell you one thing, you're not getting one now. 38-20, final moments here, and Franklin trying to put something positive up. Argos offense, if they go into Winnipeg and they play like this, the result could be very similar next week. They have got to find a way to move the football.
And you see flashes, but not enough consistency, and you know, and to really see them struggle in the second half, because I thought there was a little more pushback from the Argo in the opening 30 minutes of this game. But you had a Winnipeg team that was determined not to let a second half lead get away from them for a second week in a row, and the Argos didn't have much pushback.
And I think that was articulated rather loudly at halftime by Mike O'Shea, knowing what happened last week, and now the Bombers can move on. And O'Shea did say over this last week, you know, there's no desperation here. There's no panic in the first 5 weeks. In fact, he says there's never desperation. There's sometimes urgency in the game of football. But you've said it many times about how you treat the season, and you treat it into 3 periods of 6 games. And you know, those first 6 games kind of get the motor running, see what you have. Second 6, you know, start to accelerate a little bit and stay healthy, and make a push for the playoffs.
That's it. Finish strong. You know, we've seen it the last couple of years. Quite frankly, the team that has had the best overall record hasn't necessarily ended up on top at the end.
Andrew Harris now getting closer to that all-time career high, and he's going back in the huddle here. 1:37 to go. I know he's been piling up the yardage, and he is a workhorse, but
you know, I got to tell you, my runner-up for the Nissan Titan Player of the Game, Jamarcus Hardrick, I think has had a terrific game from his right tackle spot.
I think all 5 of them.
Been very good. Yeah, this offensive line has grown together. You know, a couple former high picks, Matthias Gosen, Suk Chung on that O-line.
So Andrew Harris has a career high. Add on another couple yards, almost 155 yards. But you think at some point you got to reel him in, bring him to the sideline, and call it a day. You do not want to risk any injury. Harris loves to play them. 60 minutes.
He sure does, especially a game like this where he's getting the ball a whole lot. He's feeling it.
As you mentioned, a good time for Matt Nichols to get some more rhythm. Missing the early part of the season. To Harris again. His only blemish on the day was that fumble late in the first half. Otherwise, monster afternoon.
You know, we've talked a little bit about the work of this offensive line. And I'm a big believer, much like in the secondary where you've got a 5-man unit, that time together, time to gel and so on is a big part of success.
Toronto.
And you look at this offensive line starting to get a string of consecutive starts together, the majority of them. Patrick Neufeld getting a bunch of games more recently. And you really see the chemistry and the performance of this group. These guys have looked very good so far. A leading rushing attack does not happen by accident.
And Matt Nichols absolutely loves that line. And he looks after that line, as well most quarterbacks do. And Harris is shut down now. 161 yards, new career high for Andrew Harris. CFL rushing leader. Undeniably heading into week 7. Medlock. Argos again with those 2 scoop and scores. Make things interesting here. Not enough offense. One of the key plays in the game, too, that Marcus Sales interception.
Yeah, at a time when the Argos looked like they might have a shot. Yeah, in Blue Bomber territory.
Get that out of here.
And a throw that just got away from James Franklin.
That is one lopsided ledger for offense. Franklin again swarmed, gets out of the pocket and is hit by Adam Bighill. What a get Adam Bighill was coming back from the National Football League for the Blue Bombers. And this isn't good. Chris Van Zyl, stalwart on that O-line. He's in considerable pain, and this is the worst part in a game where everything
the
here
outcome
is
has been determined.
Inconsequential. Van Zyl down.
Veteran, perennial East Division All-Star. Truly one of the best in the business, Chris Van Zyl.
Oh, leg buckles right there on a rollover. Hazard of being an O-lineman. Face is down in that turf. Guy who's been around this league for one of the most respected O-linemen. And boy, can he give and take the trash talk too. Open mic a couple of weeks ago. He's a classy guy.
Kind of a low-key trash talker.
Yeah. Everybody with the knee down. Van Zyl gets up. Trying to get an update from Matthew Shinetti. Not sure in these final waning seconds. That leg hurts. That pride hurts right now. Right on that Argo sideline.
It has been a long day for the Argonaut offense.
And as much as we've talked about the ineptitude today, inability of the Argo offense to move the football, that Blue Bomber defense has been so stifling, smothering.
Yeah, a very good group. It has been assembled by General Manager Kyle Walters, Head Coach Mike O'Shea, molded by Coordinator Richie Hall.
They had the 1 sack, but they had a lot of pressure on Franklin. Did not find his receivers. offensive momentum. Brandon Burks is getting a touch here. Playing time. 1 play to go. The Bombers will go home with the W, and we get set for the rematch next week at Investors Group Field, the University of Manitoba campus.
250. And the Argos hoping that the odds that you mentioned earlier play out in terms of splitting these home-and-home series.
That's a funny thing. A team 1 week has looked completely different the next week. That's been a constant theme. But the Argos have not looked good for the most part in the early season. They fall to 1-4, the defending Grey Cup champions, and Mike O'Shea and his Bombers hang on. They don't blow the lead this week. Got a little tense at times, but they were able to hammer it home in the second half. 38-20 is the final. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are now 500. 3-3 on the season. Goodbye, everybody, from Toronto. Let's send it back to Rod Smith and the guys in the studio.
Thank you, Rod. Welcome back.
Already talking about it and giving them their due, because they